स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भृगो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। श्रुति स्मृति पुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पाद शंकरं लोकशंकरं शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ओम त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देव देव। ओम गुरुदेव भगवान शिव शंकर भोलेनाथ कैलाशपति महाराज की जय। भगवान व्यास जी महाराज की जय। शंकराचार्य भगवान की जय। स्वामी चिन्मयानंद भगवान की जय। स्वामी दयानंद भगवान की जय। स्वामी प्रबुद्धानंद भगवान की जय। माता पिता की जय। सभी गुरु देवताओं की जय। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारी हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेवा। ओम श्रीमद् भागवत गीता चैप्टर 3 वर्स नंबर 19। तस्मादसक्तः सततं कार्यं कर्म समाचर आसक्तो हयाचरन् कर्म परमाप्नोति पुरुषः। Therefore, always perform well the action that is to be done without attachment, because by performing action without attachment, a person attains the highest. Till now, we had seen Swamiji says, amongst all the beings and things, there is nothing upon which a jnani depends for anything. No one is going to contribute to his or her betterment. No one is going to affect the jnani's fullness in the way and the fullness that jnani knows himself or herself to be is not dependent upon anything. It is oneself and everything else is oneself too. Tasmad, therefore, asakta, tasmad asaktah, asaktah, without attachment, satatam, always, kriyam, karyam, what is to be done, karma, action, samachara, samachara, perform well. He, because asakta, without attachment, karma, action, acharana, performing, purusha, person, param, the highest, apanoti, attains. Therefore, always perform well the action that is to be done without attachment, because by performing action without attachment, a person attains the highest. Given what has gone before, what does the first word of this verse, therefore, means? Krishna had just said that for the wise there is no karma to be done, and that is by doing karma or not doing it, nothing is gained and nothing is lost. Why then was Krishna now talking about performing action? Arjuna had expected him to say, therefore Arjuna, do not do anything. But could Krishna really have said such a thing? No. It is true that he had already established that knowledge could not be gained by doing or not doing action. Pursue knowledge, Krishna said. But then what is to be done? Please do it. This seemingly contradictory statement was based on the fact that if knowledge is already there, there is nothing for you to do. But until the knowledge take place, do whatever is to be done by you. The word therefore is connected to the topic ending with the 19th verse. The what is in it for me attitude. What is in it for me? In this verse, Krishna also reminded Arjuna that karma, that is not yoga, binds the person. Performing action without attachment refers to the attitude one should have towards result of one's action. Karma phala. A vulture flying in the sky looks as though it is just gliding along, enjoying the flight. But in fact, its eyes and beak are always directed towards downwards, as not to miss something dead, rat or other prey to swap up down upon. No matter how high it soared, the vulture's eyes are always on the prey, hence the expression vulturous. People are said to have a vulturous attitude. When they think that anything they should bring them something. Because this attitude is so prevalent, people sometimes find it very difficult to understand a person who does things without expecting anything in return. One's like and dislike need not constantly dictate one's action. Dharma and adharma can be well dictate them. Thus Krishna said to Arjuna, what is to be done, please do. Though karma yoga alone you can gain the antakaran shuddhi that leads to steadfastness in the knowledge. Only then you can reveal in the Atma. Knowledge itself requires no action. It will take care of itself. This is what Krishna meant when he said to either pursue knowledge while doing karma or take to a life of sannyasa. That is his choice. That is, this choice is without question. But the end is the same for both. If you choose the one that is more appropriate for you, you will be the gainer. But if you choose sannyasa and it is not appropriate for you, then the life of sannyasa will not bear the fruits that you expect. In Krishna's view, karma yoga was exactly what Arjuna was fit for. So he tells him to continue doing karma yoga and also pursue knowledge. Not until all 18th chapter of Gita had been taught by Krishna did Arjuna finally say, I am going to do what is to be done. He then started the fight and finished it. By the time the Pandavas had become victorious, a lot of people had been lost. Arjuna's son Abhimanyu, Draupadi's 5 sons, Bhishma, Drona, Dronacha, Duryodhana and all his brothers, Karna and so many others. Thus a lot of destruction had been done and Arjuna was very sad. He then asked Krishna to teach him again. Arjuna might have something like, before the war began long ago, before all the fireworks, he had a dialogue. It was wonderful. Please teach me again because I have forgotten the words. Perhaps the message is with me still, but the words are gone. Krishna replied that although he could not repeat the teaching verbatim, he would go over what he had taught him previously. So there is one more Gita called Uttara Gita, meaning a subsequent Gita. Arjuna knew that he had to gain his knowledge. In his present circumstances, in the middle of the battlefield, he could not listen. He could only listen. There was no time for him to do thorough analysis thorough analysis and reflect on everything Krishna was telling him. Therefore, it was something he had to work out. This was why Krishna told him that he should continue to do karma and gain knowledge in the process. The Shastra says that one should do what has to be done with the mind free from the hold of likes and dislikes, with the reference to the result of the one's action. When one performs action in this way, the mind becomes purified. Only when the mind is prepared can knowledge take place, and through knowledge one gains moksha. You will find this point consistently reiterated by Shankara in his Bhashya. Karma yoga or the other yoga does not directly produce moksha. As we have seen, to think otherwise is not to understand. First, the mind is to be prepared through karma yoga, and then the knowledge can take place. There is an order here, and it is the order that Krishna was describing in this verse. Then he continued, the wise need not give up activity. Verse number 20, chapter number 3, Shrimad Bhagavad Gita. Karmani vahi sansidmasthita janakadaya lokasangrahamevapi sampashyan kurutam arhasi. Indeed, by action alone, Janaka and others gained liberation. Also by merely seeing the desirability of protecting the people from falling into unbecoming way, you ought to perform action. He, karmaneva he indeed, Janaka and others, karmana iva, by action alone, samsiddhim, liberation. Asthita, gained. Api, also. Loka sangraham, of protecting the people from falling into unbecoming ways. Iva, merely. Sampasyan, seeing the desirability. Kurutam, to perform action. Arahasi, ought to. Indeed, by action alone, Janaka and others gained liberation. Also by merely seeing the desirability of protecting the people from falling into unbecoming ways, you ought to perform action. Krishna did not say that karma is to be done by everyone. Karma yoga is meant for a person who is a mumukshu, who is desirous of knowledge, that is liberation. For a jnani, one who already has the knowledge, there is no karma to be done. Kartavyam nasti, because there is no doer. The absence of doership is purely in terms of knowledge. The jnani knows that he or she is not the doer or enjoyer of any action. Knowing this, a wise person is not bound by any karma, nor is he or she enjoined to do any karma, even by the Veda. Only mumukshu has to do karma, and does the aviveki, one who is only interested in fulfilling his or her raga dveshas. It goes without saying that a aviveki, a person who likes and dislikes have to be fulfilled, has no choice. Karma definitely has to be done by such a person. And while performing action, he or she has to follow dharma and adharma, rights and wrongs. Otherwise, the result of the person's action will be something undesirable, if not immediately, certainly later. A person who has the value for dharma need not be a mumukshu, a viveki, but may legitimately fulfill his or her desire, keeping what is right and wrong in view. A mumukshu also does karma, but not always to fulfill his or her likes and dislikes. More often than not, such a person does karma simply in order to do what is to be done in a given situation. And if one does perform action in order to fulfill one's likes and dislikes, the action is performed, and the result of the action, whatever they may be, are taken as prasada, gifts from the Lord. In these words, Krishna provides further argument for the performance of karma. People have really given up everything to pursue this knowledge, enjoy certain disposition which according to Shastra is not gained accidentally. They have earned it by performing karma with the proper attitude. Thus karma yoga presides antakaran shuddhi, purification of the mind, which in turn presides jnana, knowledge. This order is the context for the present verse. Janaka and others like him, Ashwapati, for instance, are mentioned in Shruti. They were all kings and householders. They had office to keep and were very busy with the varieties of activities which were kartavyam karma, to be done, karmas. They were also considered to be wise men who had gained samasiddhi, another word for moksha, liberation. They had discovered freedom by living a life of karma, a life of activity. Even though considered by the Shruti to be wise men and scholars too, Janaka and others were not renunciates, they were householders. They acquired wisdom without giving up karma. Thus it is very clear that performing karma is not against moksha. Even though it could produce moksha, only knowledge can, or even though it cannot produce moksha, no karma can produce moksha, please understand. Only knowledge can be said to produce moksha. Moksha being an already accomplished fact. In other words, Atma, oneself, is already liberated. Mukta and knowledge alone makes one recognize this fact. And to prepare the mind for this recognition, there are a lot of means that one can use. This is the reason for saying that there is nothing equal to knowledge for gaining liberation. Here the use of word produce and make must be properly understood, because knowledge is always true to fact. It cannot make or produce anything unless there is a fact. Knowledge of the object, pot, will only be equal to what is there, a pot. If the pot is a clay pot, it is a clay pot, not a brass pot. By knowledge, you cannot change the nature of the pot. You can only understand its nature. This is the very meaning of knowledge. Moksha is always for oneself. And because the self is already moksha, moksha is always oneself. It is not anyone else. And because the self is already mukta, moksha can only be gained by knowledge of the fact that the self is liberated. Moksha is already accomplished in the self, and one can gain this knowledge without giving up karma, as Janakas and others like him did. Karma is only opposed to knowledge when performed purely for fulfilling one's raga dvesha and not for neutralizing them. If you perform karma only for fulfilling your raga dveshas, the knowledge opposes them. Karma should not be performed to fulfill ragas and dveshas. They should be done to get antakaran shuddhi. Karma yoga should be done, not only karma. Such karma is without any doubt binding in nature. But this is not the karma that Krishna was referring to here. He was talking about karma that is to be undertaken by oneself with an attitude of karma yoga. This karma is yoga whereby you gain the kind of mind necessary for the knowledge to take place. Understanding that one does karma to render one's mind fit for the knowledge, you may ask why the wise should continue to do karma once the knowledge has been gained. If Janaka and others had already come to know, they should have dropped all the karmas. No, Krishna said, they could continue to do whatever karma was there for them to do according to their prarabdha, the result of previous karma that had caused their present births. Once knowledge is gained, any action is spontaneous. Whatever is to take place will take place. No one is going to stop it. Therefore, if Janaka were to continue being the king, he would be the king. If he were to renounce everything and continue his life as sannyasi, he would have done so. It all depends on what was stored in his purusha prarabdha. Once a person is no longer bound by his or her karma or by any raga dvesha, the question of performing or not performing karma simply does not arise. How the person lives, whether he or she lives a life of activity or a life free from all activities, depends purely on the person's prarabdha. One is no longer controlled by likes and dislikes. Even the desire for moksha or liberation is gone, having been fulfilled by the knowledge of the truth of oneself. The doer not being there, there is virtually nothing for a wise person to do, nor is there anything that such person cannot do either. What the person will depend only on what happens within him or her. It is itself governed by prarabdha that resulted in the particular birth. Prarabdha karma. Prarabdha karma is generally accompanied by the free will that a human being has. This free will can interfere with the prarabdha karma in many ways, modifying it, mending it, working against it, and doing anything else that is free will can do. Given that prarabdha karma and free will to go together, every situation is both prarabdha based and will based. Where prarabdha stops and free will begins, no one can say. There is no way of knowing which one brought you to a particular situation. In the wake of self-knowledge, however, free will is not a factor. Only then does prarabdha alone takes care of your life. If it is your prarabdha to teach, you teach. If you are to sit quietly, then that is what you do. And if you have to rule a kingdom, you rule a kingdom, just like Janaka. Krishna mentioned Janaka here because Janaka was a king who was considered to be a wise man. Being a king meant that Janaka was engaged in a lot of activities. He did not just sit and relax. He was the one whose phone was always ringing. So to speak, even though he had a lot of people to help him, they were always asking him for advice. They would ask, what should I tell this person? What should I tell that person? If we do not have any money, our guarantee is empty, our granary is empty, what shall we do? But in spite of all the activities that were involved for ruling a kingdom, Janaka continued to rule because of his prarabdha. Knowing that Arjuna's prarabdha was to fight this battle, Krishna told him to do karma. It was not that Arjuna had decided to fight Duryodhana. He did not even want this war. He was brought to it by his prarabdha Arjuna was right inside that particular situation, one that warranted certain action on his part. If Janka and the others were the wise men, they continued to do their job because of their prarabdha. And if they were not wise, they were doing karma yoga. The point Krishna is making here is that a person achieves wisdom by doing whatever is to be done and not by running away from it. Krishna might have said to Arjuna, suppose you look upon yourself as a wise man, are you going to say, I am a wise man, therefore I should not do action? Is there any rule that say that a wise man should not do action? If a so-called wise man deciding he is wise does not do karma, it means that he is bound by karma because he is taking himself to be a karta, a doer. And if he is bound by karma, he is definitely not wise. Wisdom is knowing that Atma is not a doer, Atma is a karta. For the person who has this wisdom, there is no mandate to do or not to do karma. This is no way means that because you are wise, you will not do karma. Not to do karma amounts to laziness. Unless, of course, you take sannyasa, for which certain preparedness is required. The point here is that even if you were wise men, you can look at the situation you have been presented with and do what is to be done. Arjuna was a leader. In Arjuna's case, the people had to be protected. Arjuna was a leader, whether he liked it or not. Even if he himself thought he was not a leader, people looked upon him as one. Therefore, he had to do what was expected of a leader. There are three types of leader. One is an opportunist who becomes a leader to promote a particular cause in which he or she has a personal interest. Community leaders tend to be in this sort. Temples and churches usually get built in this way. A person who is successful in community comes forward and heads a particular project. However, because others also want to be leader, problem among various members of the community are inevitable. Thus, when there is an opportunity available, a person who wants power and who has the leisure and resources required will organize the situation so that he or she can become the leader. When an opportunist wields power in this way, it is usually an ego trip or in the interest of money. Generally speaking, our society are led by such people. The second type of leader, who is even more dangerous, is idealist. The opportunist has no ideal other than his or her ego and sets sail purely according to the direction of the wind. Such a person can switch political parties simply by crossing the floor. The idealist, on the other hand, is not on power trip. This type of leader look upon society as being full of problems and have to be solved by him or her, for which the person has a particular system, political, economic, religious, and so on. Certain religious leaders, for example, tend to think that they alone have the answer and everyone else is head whom they alone must save. In other words, the idealist is one who thinks that the answer can only come through him or her. And such person can be a real danger to the society. Communists, terrorists, and nationalists are all idealists who make such contentions as my country is greatest country, my culture is greatest culture, my religion is the greatest religion, or my political or economic system is the only answer. An opportunist can easily be discovered, whereas the idealist convert more and more people to his or her way of thinking. When the idealist talks, there is so much conviction, so much heart and mind being brought to bear on the topic that those who are gullible will go along with whatever is being said. The idealist is one who has sold himself or herself to a particular idea and is prepared to die for it, Hitler being the case in point. His blue blood theory was pure idealism and caused the colossal destruction of millions of people. He really believed he was the one who was born to protect and rule the world, and that people of the Aryan race were superior. Once the idea struck him, Hitler had no rest, nor did he allow others to rest. Under the spell of this idealism, they carried out his atrocious orders. Throughout the history of the world, we find that wherever there were idealists, there was war and colossal destruction. Idealism create religious and political fantasies, and these people create havoc, as the history book reveals. The third type of leader is the one who leads not because he or she wants to lead, but because there are some people following. Such a person lives his or life always ready to reshuffle one's idea in order to live according to what is true. The person may not even know what he or she is a leader, whether it is to one's liking or not. One becomes a leader. This is the type of leading that makes one a real leader, and this was the kind of leader Arjuna was. Here Krishna said to Arjuna, whether you like it, there are people who look upon to you as their leader. Arjuna was the archer of the age and was looked upon by the people as a trendsetter. He was supposed to set an example and was not therefore someone who could just walk away from it at all. It was not his prarabdha. If Arjuna had been a loner and had wanted to become a sannyasi, Krishna would not have talked with him about the appropriateness of karma yoga and so on. Krishna would have agreed to Arjuna becoming a sannyasi even though he knew there would be some problems. This, however, was not Arjuna's situation. Being a leader and looked upon up to by all the people, he had to set proper examples. And if he set a wrong example and people would follow it, therefore to protect the people, Arjuna had to do karma even if he considered himself a jnani. That was how his prarabdha had set up this situation. And if he was karma yogi and protecting the world was his karma yoga because he was a leader, then that was what had to be done. The question that may arise here is why the world is to be protected. All that is involved here is that you find yourself in a situation with duties to perform. Someone has to be in this particular position and you happen to be that person. If you were not there, someone else would be here. There is no choice involved here. Arjuna did not choose to be son of Pandu. He happened to be born in this particular royal family and therefore had certain jobs to do. So Krishna said, whether you are a jnani or a karma yogi, here is a situation and you have to do karma. This is not opposed to knowledge because you are not a doer. Karma can be done even if you know that you are not the karta. Or put another way, karma is not opposed to knowledge, nor is it the means to knowledge, because by just doing karma, you cannot gain moksha. If you have no viveka, karma can bind you. Whereas it can also be a means for purifying your mind if you make it yoga by change of attitude. So you have to change your attitude. Do your regular karma, but different attitude. Attitude of devoting your karmas to the Ishvara. Converting your karmas into karma yoga. A viveki man does karma as karma yoga. He gets his antakaran shuddhi. Antakaran shuddhi prepares his mind for knowledge. Therefore, he gains knowledge. And with gaining the knowledge, he gains moksha. Krishna tells Arjuna why he should do his duty. Yada charati shrestasta tata devataro janah sayat pramanam kurute lokastadanuvartate. Whatsoever an important person does, that alone the other people do. Whatever that person set as proper, the world of people follow that. This verse we'll see tomorrow, verse number 21 from chapter 3, Bhagavad Gita. We'll see this tomorrow. Om Tat Sat. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudashyati Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Om Namo Hari Om Tat Sat.